Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all of the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth, and that is on a great viewer question that is to discuss the narcissistic sense of entitlement. When we talk about entitlement, we're talking about someone basically who will exemplify this by stealing another's thunder, stealing another's opinion, stealing another's viewpoint, stealing another's passion, sort of getting in between your realization, your epiphany, your life flow moving forward, and sort of redirecting it and saying, no, it is me. No, it is mine. No, I took credit for this. It's really all about me. And if you are young, immature, unaware, naive, green, or unconscious of this sort of dynamic, then people will begin to put the ball back in their court, the power back in their court. They will continue to give their power away to this type of individual. Psychopathic individuals who really have a lack of conscience, a lack of morality, who want to just see others worm, squirrel, and just sort of, wreathe in pain, is a feeling of their influence and effect on others. So they will unequivocally accomplish a certain or, similar goal through stealing others' thunder. Basically, that is a statement where it means basically you're at your finest moment. It is about you now. It's about you having center stage. It's about you receiving. It's about you coming into your own. It's about you having an unfolding or a growth spurt or something where you are making a life transition, a life change that you might feel great about, that you feel that you have arrived at on your own decision making. In other words, this is your own. This is called your thunder. Your presence, your I am, is basically revealing itself to the world. A narcissist or a psychopath will find that as a pivotal and sort of paramount opportunity. Paramount meaning basically one that they look for most, to steal away your power, steal away your thunder. And the narcissistic sense of entitlement basically causes them to feel that they are the center of the good, or they want to be associated with the good. They want to be associated, included in the connection, the relationship. They want to be basically putting themselves in your place so that they are sort of, it's all about us getting that decision rather than you arriving at it on your own. So they sort of dilute the power. They dilute your I am, and they take you out of flow. Flow is a very important state for you to understand that is important and paramount. So basically of, a priority of utmost importance is that you experience flow, that you experience a release of blockage, that you have a body-mind connection to fluidity towards pursuing your goal and your dream, and that you've worked through specific items that have been confusing, presented a fog, presented a cognitive dissonance, a disconnect, or a dissociation where you're just sort of not present, you're checked out, you're just sort of tapped out, and you don't feel that you're sort of on task, on focus. And this can go unchecked for a long period of time, and it causes distress because you are giving away your power to another. It's, when you enter into a sort of cognitive dissonance, meaning what you say and what you do is not in alignment, and you don't know how to get it back into alignment. You don't know how to get grounded, get centered, and champion the situation. Have power and jurisdiction and intelligence, emotional intelligence, which you can tap into and develop absolutely unequivocally. But when you are around a narcissist, they will continue to use basically what is like a pecking order. Peck, peck, peck. on the weakest, the littlest, the one who's just coming up, the one who's just learning to fly. And there they go, they're biting at your wings. They're, taking their beak and they're trying to get under your skin, cause the bleeding, cause the itching, cause the leak of wellness, cause the leak of, energy, good, strong, healthy energy that isn't wrought with guilt, confusion, and self-consciousness and that anxiety, that sort of not knowing what to do, not knowing how to assert, not going full throttle forward, taking you out of out of cue, out of line, and setting you back. Once again, it is to create that gap, that disconnect that leaves you questioning and confusing what happened to where I was just now, and sort of your head spinning. And, I felt I was, making a decision and proclaiming something for myself for once. And then here it comes, it's all about them all of a sudden. The narcissistic sense of entitlement is just sort of like a dark cloud. It's just like a blanket over your fire. You can't feel the glow. You can't see the light. You can't sort of focus in, and you feel a leaching of energy, a leaking of wellness, a leaking of perseverance and continuation through your commitment. It's like as if someone has just taken it over or taken it away from you. And yet you don't see somebody, coming in and leaching it out, but it is discussed in the energetic exchange of ideas and apparent emotions. So a narcissist, through their entitlement, will basically look for those opportunities, and it's an all the time situation. So if you're feeling that, they're just doing this to me, it is my problem. I was vulnerable. I was naive, and the self-blame isn't stopping, and there's something wrong, and, I can't recover that ever again. That is flawed thinking. So flawed thinking, which means a thought form which is incorrect, and it's going to continue to bring about incorrect situations into your life. It's going to bring about incorrect energy, specifically that of low energy, vacillation, going back and forth, just sort of, meandering, just sort of feeling aimless. It's hard to be on goal, on task, and accomplishing and producing and fulfilling your life dream, when someone is taking away your juice, when someone's taking away your steam, when someone's taking the wind out of your sails. And, someone who is narcissistic, that's how they maintain their trauma bond. It's, even though there's something that has nothing to do with them, their talons, meaning like their claws, just sort of reach and sort of pull you back. You can make great strides, that might take you weeks or months to get you to that place where you are, either in your health or your wellness or your finances or your job or your relationships, and then here they go with that little peck right where they pecked before, trying to make the blood, and next thing you're worried about that blood, that wound, and it's distracting you from your goal. That is the tactic, that is the antic that a narcissist and a psychopath will use. And to the green observer, to the new observer, to the unaware or uninformed observer, it's kind of like people want to continue to allow that vacillation to end on their spot, just like a game piece. Yup, you win. Yes, you're right. They want to be agreeable. They want to be harmonic. They want to be congruent. They don't want to cause another issue now that they've just, owned the wind in their sails. They've gotten the wind in their sails. This is what you want and you can maintain. And I will show you and assist you to do that. But this is a very important sort of pivotal crossroads point where you need to be able to tap into the role of metacognition, which means your ability to think what you're thinking about. Now, if you haven't gone there, in other words, caught yourself or acknowledged and validated right away when this is happening, stop it in its tracks, put a halt, slam on the emotional brakes, Oh, no, you don't. Oh, no, don't even try that. Is, what you would like to do, to confront. But usually that will elicit a lot of bubbles that have been really basically repressed down in the surface. So it'll start to bubble to the surface. And so if it's unchecked, untapped, it can result in an all-out blowout. This is, mine. What are you talking? And then next thing you know, the narcissist will begin interjecting why it's all about them, and so they will steal your thunder. And you have to, if this has occurred, believe me, it will try to, you will encounter this again with a narcissist or a psychopath, someone who is of a violatory nature. The psychopath, the intra-species predator, just like a lion and a gazelle. They're not going after the gazelle because they think it's fun. They do it to, because that's what they do. They want to take them out of the game. And it is not in your best interest, when they steal your thunder. It is not in your best interest when they take the wind out of your sails. It's not in your best interest when they're operating to, lay claim and take, and basically assert that it's about them, that, they're the one who has brought about this. And they're trying to, take that sort of, superior, I am in control. It's all about me. I'm the one, for good or for bad. Taking and withdrawing your attention of them and this predisposition for them to sort of take away your power. You need to understand that this is how they operate, the entitlement sort of, and so you need to acknowledge and recognize it and to say, this is how this is how they violate boundaries. You need to explain to yourself and get experience from this from multiple angles. This is how they get one over. This is how they get in my skin. This is how they get in my thoughts. This is how they take precedence over me and appear as more important, better than, or more powerful than. These are all tactics, and once you're in the know, flawed tactics. In other words, their tactics ain't working no more. You ain't falling for the joke. You ain't falling for that communication. You aren't falling for their flawed thinking. Their thinking is flawed. It is based on a pathological sense of self-importance and self-gratuity, and they're sort of assuming this to be so. You do not need to lay a scoundrel, lay a victim to this. Even though they tried, they may try again, but you can basically have the wisdom to know what it is and what it feels like. So the key to this is learning, like in the privacy of these videos, what they do, and then to catch it when it's in motion, so it doesn't violate that boundary. You're no longer the body-mind connection to the entitlement that they're espousing. You no longer allow them that position. You no longer allow that opportunity. You are shutting the door for them. And it's very difficult, oftentimes, to shut the door on a narcissist or a psychopath who has tried to claim authority or preside over you, to herald over you. And that is, it's not ever a good idea, no matter who it is. Yes, there's needs to understand, when there is, a shared responsibility. But when you find yourself at your finer moments, when you find yourself sharing something important, a decision that you've made, something that you have arrived at, a graduation, a promotion, a release of a new, product, a release of a new situation, whatever your business might be. You've created a new website, you've created a new product, whatever your product is, and then they'll just sort of take the wind out of your sails. They won't give you eye contact. They won't give you healthy narcissistic validation, which is to connect with you at the heart level and to say, man, that is awesome. You're on the right track. Congratulations. They don't want to give that to you because it presents to them as a threat. And to, a narcissist, they don't really want to they want to keep others sort of under the lid. They want to keep others on the lower rung. They want to keep others on the stoop while they're in the doorway. This is my house and you're just on the street, just sort of trying to create a false divide. Don't fall for the divide. The role of metacognition, which means your ability to think about what you're thinking about. So in the moment, in other words, it's important for you to identify and get more of a sense of your boundaries and to take some ownership and to take some I am and to give yourself, some declaration, no more, Buster, no more, it's just, this is it, and to speak an ultimatum. And even though you don't know the how, you know the I am. Even though you don't know the how, you know the I am. And this is your power. This is, your life force starting to trickle to the surface. This is you starting to get into momentum, clarity, and a sense of self. A strong and healthy sense of I am, which is worth defending, which is worth protecting, which is worth giving the pat on the back, giving yourself the old thumbs up, giving yourself the old high five. Woohoo! These celebratory moments, which should be all about you. You'll find that these moments oftentimes are the one where you feel the yank on your chain. And even if you've been exposed to that for some period of time and you've sort of rehearsed and memorized subconsciously, which then becomes a connection to what we call self-limiting beliefs, which goes, it'll tap into that. And then, you'll have a tendency to default to the narcissist. Default is a very important word when you look at catching this. Default, which means defer to go back to have the automatic link to. I'm going to, I default to, you've heard of like a default browser, or, it's very much the same. And if you can see the parallel and the analogy for this to be, they are the default. You are number one. There is no one more important than you when it comes to you gaining your personal power and your clarity and being able to articulate it through the glabs and diphthongs on your tongue. I am, and then to hold your composure, because these feeling states are going to build and grow and accumulate. And it is a process. And you'll find that once you sort of get some really pivotal moving parts within, you'll be able to find that little latch, that little lever that goes, nope, lock it out or unlock it, let it in. And the narcissist entitlement, as well as the psychopathic sort of trying to own your energy, and distort and sort of recreate your thought and meaning and your connection to things and sort of promulgate it and populate it with their meaning that they want to give you versus your own. So it's taking away your identity, your I am, your identity. And so little by little, the identity can be corroded. It can feel degraded. It can feel corrupted. Then you have a corrupted or distorted sense of I am. So recover some ground. Even if this was, ground zero for you, you can recover ground because you have been there all the while. And you really do know best, but it's a degree to being able to acknowledge and validate and be able to have some eyes on your truth, which can give it some, give it that divine spark once again and help to ignite it and send it, on its way in the right course, in the right manner. And, and so it's very different, someone who is psychopathic, they will use those finer moments to sort of take you out of the show, take you out of the game. They will present distraction. They will, present, all sorts of communication when you start to heal, or when you start to, have your own accomplishments. And, number one is, you want to sort of have this for your own. You want to know what your thing is. What is your gig? What is your thing? What is your niche? What are you, about? Even if you don't know it, know that you have one. Know that you have a strength. Know that you have your thing and what makes you tick and where you will excel. And don't allow that to be a projection of the narcissist. This can be completely separate and distinct from them. And don't feel, that you're not giving them their due, their credit, especially if you're used to defaulting to this. Yes, you're right. You are, this, you are that, and deferring to them. And, you just don't need to respond. Let it go poof, let it dissipate. Don't feel that you have to change them and go, this is not about you. Don't interact them and do not step in the boxing ring. Use it as a lesson learned for you to observe and then go, yep, I see where this happened before and not again, not me, not now, not today. I am not defaulting to your attempts to steal away my thunder or the wind in my sails. It is what it is. I want what I want, and I know what my boundaries are, and I know the level of consciousness that I want to operate in. And once you repeat this, even if you don't know, it's like the poet. You kind of feel it, but you need to learn to put words to it. And you will learn to do this, but really acknowledging when this occurs is so important. Do you put, talk to the hand is basically what you need to say to yourself, to this individual, but it needs to be sort of that internal identification and then that internal dialogue, and follow up with it and make this a lesson learned so you can see it when it comes and you can understand, how they strive for the takedown, the immaturity, the laughing when you should be serious, the being serious when you should be laughing, all these different things that they'll try to throw off your game. Begin to acknowledge and don't react. Begin to acknowledge and then use the role of metacognition to identify and say, I see now. I see it. I know it. And be able to register that within and then just give yourself that little mini, thumbs up. It's really important for you to give yourself, that yes, give yourself a reward, a physical reward, just like, yep, I got this now. Give yourself a thumbs up. Give yourself a high five. Give yourself one of these. Give yourself a whoop whoop, a happy dance. Know that your power is beginning to take flight and take heat, take presence. And it's an energetic field that you will begin to enter into and you'll begin to heal. And you can maintain the healing. Do not worry about it. And so once again, we can go more into depth a little bit, especially, on the psychopath and how they sort of take this away. But I think that's a great, Vera question. And once again, I have opened up my calendar. I wasn't aware that a lot of our viewers didn't know this, but I do offer one-on-one sessions, consultations via phone or email. So if you are interested, to work on your specifics, absolutely reach out to me. I'll put my email here down below for the sessions. I've opened up some new availability to alleviate a waiting list. And so definitely reach out to me. If I can assist you, I would be glad to help. Have a beautiful day. You got this.